Hello, my name is Robert Atkins, and today I'm going to take you on a journey through time. Imagine the year is 1878. Something's about to happen that will change how we view cameras and film forever. A man by the name of Edward Muybridge is about to make history. He was tasked with finding out if a horse's hooves leave the ground during a full gallop. Muybridge rigged 24 still cameras to tripwires around a racetrack. He then took these images and created a disc that went into his invention, the Zoopraxiscope, which could project images in rapid succession, creating an illusion of movement. This could be considered as the first film edit. 25 years later, in 1903, Life of an American Fireman, directed by Edwin S. Porter. This was the first linear assembly of a film. They shot a fire rescue and then also shot some extra footage that was fiction to add to it. The first editing machine was born in 1924. The Moviola quickly became popular and many of the big studios adopted them. Editors were able to make precise cuts and study individual shots. Moviolas quickly became the standard for editing in the United States. 46 years after the Moviola had been around, we had the Steenbeck editors starting to get popular in the 1970s. The Steenbeck editors were much faster at rolling through film, and it was much easier on the film physically, so the risk of film tearing apart after making several edits was much less. Rewinding the clock back 14 years, Ampex released the first commercially available videotape recorder, the 2-inch quadruplex videotape. In 1959, tape was only being used for archival and distribution purposes. You could edit these early tapes. It would be a similar process to editing film, but was more burdensome. The tape would need to be developed first using an extremely toxic and carcinogenic carbon tetrafluoride solution. This process would make the magnetic bands on the tape visible when viewed through a microscope. That way you can align them in a specialized splicer which had to cut the tape during a vertical retape signal without irritating the odd/even field ordering. Audio read heads being so far apart, it was not possible to make physical edits that would function properly for both video and audio. So you would make your cut for video and the portion of audio recopied in the correct timing. All this had to be done without seeing what frame you were on due to the issue that quadruplex tape could not hold still frames. Around this point, there was a new technique of editing starting to emerge, linear editing. This used two video decks. You could transfer video from deck 1 to deck 2. Doing this, you could assemble a bunch of different cuts, one after another in a linear format. Skipping ahead to 1971, we had the CMX 600, the first nonlinear editor. The biggest advantage that the nonlinear editing brought was the fact it was non-destructive. You could go back and make changes without having to redo all of your work. Jumping ahead to 1988, EMC2 unveiled the first all-digital offline nonlinear editor with data using optical discs for storage. 1 year later, in 1989, the public release of Avid 1, a Macintosh-based nonlinear editor. Avid will later become the gold standard in Hollywood. The only issue was storage at the time, so they could only edit short music videos and commercials. Just 4 years later, in 1993, engineers would add more storage to an Avid system, debuting a 7 terabyte system capable of editing a feature-length film. These films would be cut offline. They would use low-quality digital files to make a work cut, and use a time code from the work cut to make a EDL, which was sent off to a film lab and assembled from the original film prints. From 1995 and onward, it gets a heck of a lot more complicated, really quickly. The technology is constantly changing. I find it amazing how far film editing has come in the last 100 years, and how fast it's evolved and still constantly evolving. I hope you enjoyed this brief history of film editing. This has been Robert Atkins from Full Sail University, signing off.